This is a great gathering. I am so pleased that you are here, that you are trusting that something will be said will be significant for you on your journey. Let me begin today's distinguished faculty lecture by expressing my profound gratitude to the Council of Deans for their honoring me by selecting me to give this lecture. I am moved by your confidence. Thank you, Dean Jennifer Davidson, for conveying the good news to me, and to Sabrina Kennedy for following up with me. When I first got the news, I wasn't sure. So I was saying, this is in case I was not, just in case I was hallucinating, indication that I had been chosen for this. Thank you, Dean Susan Abraham, for the marvel you are. Thank you for your introduction, which I hope to embody more fully. I'm grateful to you and President David Vasquez Levy for your all-encompassing support and progressive leadership at PSR. Thank you, stellar PSR faculty. Thank you, PSR students and alum who are gathered, for the enrichment you have brought to my life. Thank you for making the sacrifice to be here tonight. I also want to thank the staff at PSR, and we certainly have a representative here. Ms. Ann Jefferson, thank you for being with us. I want to thank folks from the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples, the chair of our board, Brian Caston, my brother, who is a director of music. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for the entire GTU faculty, especially their deans, who were a part of making this tribute possible. Thank you for a very special friend who is part of this lecture in a very special way, because without her giving me contact information for Dr. Howard Thurman, who knows what would happen. Lolita Rivas, would you please stand? Lolita was and to Dr. Munir Jiwa, a great colleague with unbounded integrity and creativity. Thanks for agreeing to respond to my lecture. I continue to be grateful for your friendship as well as your formidable leadership at our Center for Islamic Studies and for its impact at the GTU and beyond our Holy Hill. I work with you on several committees, and it's always been a pleasure. The last one was the COVID-19 response in the Bay Area that you shared, and it was an honor to work with you. Not long after I accepted this honor, I was asked for a title. This is still new, I'm still trying to process, but this was really true that I received this recognition. Then my mind raced to the one printed Dr. Howard Thurman, Seeking, Querying, and Transcending. By querying, I mean looking at institutions, systems, so-called normative realities from the assessment and reinvention of a disinherited 20th century Black man. So how did I become associated with Dr. Howard Thurman, you may ask? While a student at Pacific School of Religion, and I was a student there from 1968 to 71, a long time ago, I was fortunate enough to take classes at the Center for Urban Black Studies, affiliated with the Graduate Theological Union. It was a gathering place for courses, counseling, and various forums such as the Black Odyssey Festival and the Martin Luther King Lecture that explored and highlighted the Black religious experience. The director of the center, Dr. W. Hosea Williams, suggested to me one day that I should do an independent study of Dr. Howard Thurman. My first reaction was, Dr. Who? He responded, don't you know who Dr. Howard Thurman is? And I responded, no. Why should I know who Dr. Howard Thurman is? And he proceeded to tell me a bit about Dr. Thurman. Dr. Williams had been a seminarian at Boston University School of Theology during Dr. Thurman's lecture there and tenure there as Dean of Marsh Chapel, the first African American to serve in such capacity at any college, university, theological school in the United States. Again, I received contact information about Dr. Thurman from Lolita Rivas, the secretary there, and proceeded to arrange an appointment. Upon arrival for my Saturday morning appointment, I was greeted by a sign instructing visitors to ring all 3 bells, which I did. I learned later that the reason for this was that Dr. Thurman's office, the study, the library were on the first floor. The place where his tapes were transcribed on the 2nd floor. And the apartment that he and Mrs. Thurman shared was on the 3rd. He or they could be on any floor. The ringing of the bell resulted in an elderly Black gentleman who was actually younger then than I am now. Appearing at the door, greeting me and inviting me to come inside. I walked right past him. Then suddenly I felt this energy. So I turned and said, are you Dr. Thurman? He said, yes. So that began our time together. While conversing, I inquired about the book that I should read to initiate my understanding of him. Without hesitation, he said The Growing Edge. The Growing Edge is a compilation of sermons along with meditations and prayers, essential to the unique unfolding and centering of the self in the worship experience guided by Dr. Thurman. Worship was essential to Thurman and to understanding him. He also informed me that he would be preaching at the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples the next day. I had already felt the presence of the sacred in our conversation and never entertained the notion of not hearing him preach. Once he began preaching, and I was sitting on the very last pew in the church, the last spot. In fact, it wasn't really a pew. It had been taken from the choir stand. It's a sort of bench kind of thing. I sat there. But once he began preaching, I found myself resting my head in my hands throughout the service. Approaching him after the service, I conveyed my appreciation for the message. He responded, "Well, yes. I was wondering when you were going to come up for air." He saw me. He saw me. Sitting in that last seat on that last pew in the sanctuary, I was seen personally by him. Oh, how important it is for us to be seen. Each of us, whether it is in person or via Zoom or some other platform. And just maybe he was aware of the layers of my life being pulled back and my soul being laid bare. I think he knew in some way that the Great Spirit, the all-pervading presence, was feeding the hunger of my heart, even though I had not been aware of the hunger. I was born anew with the socially imposed barriers and labels removed, retired, at least for a brief, precious moment. I don't remember what he said. I just know that I was transcended and he was transcendent. It was a return to the Garden of Eden, not to innocence, but to relationship and respect for all that had been created, and for clarity in assuming responsibility for my own life and those to whom I was connected. Central to the worship experience of Thurman was this inward journey to the altar within, to authenticity of the self that then sees authenticity in community, to experience intimacy with the great immensity, that which is more than we are. So all my attempts to describe or classify him were wanting, incomplete, inadequate. On back covers of his books, he is described as poet, mystic, philosopher, and theologian. Yes, he was each and all of them, but these labels and descriptions were all true. To me, they were sketches, important sketches, but nonetheless not full enough or comprehensive enough for me. They were insufficient to describe the person that I heard that Sunday morning.